Hello viewers, this is Mitul here. Module 8 Advanced Query Concepts that we have started learning, and now we will be understanding about the transactions. Okay, so now let us understand about the module number 8.2.3, which is like the non-repeatable read issue for the concurrency. So in this case, like what happens basically, if there are it occurs when one transaction reads the same data twice, it finds the different result basically. So say like in a transaction 1, we are reading the data from one transaction, whereas like there is another transaction running parallelly which is doing some DML operation onto it, and then after that after some time, after the transaction 2 updates something, or maybe just perform some DML operation, and then we come back to the transaction 1 again and we try to read the same records again. Then we find the different records, or maybe different counts, maybe different sum or something different is sort that we are getting. So in that case we can say there is a difference in that. There is a different read happening into that, meaning like say the values are different for the same record, maybe the quantities are different, right? Or maybe the sum is different, or maybe the balance has been changed, right? Those kind of changes we observe. In that case we need to basically apply some fix onto it. To apply the fix, we might need to use the repeatable read isolation level. For that, again it will be read and write log for the selected data until the end of the transaction. It fixes the dirty read, lost update, and the non-repeatable read issue. Since range lock is not managed, so phantom read issues can still occur. Now the syntax again is the same. Set transaction isolation level, repeatable read. Yeah. So then we want to take some examples. So let me consider this same example we taken in the last session, which is the store items, where the ID equals to 1. So let's just see what is the current value to that. So in this example, what we are trying to achieve here is we are trying to see to the quantity numbers. Okay, so just keep an eye on to this particular record for the quantity of the item name called bread. For that, like we will be keeping an update, or we will be keeping we will be continuously reading the same quantity twice, so that we will come to know that what is the number difference in happening for that, right? So let's just implement in that. First of all, we'll need to understand like the set transaction isolation level, which is read committed by default is the isolation level that we'll be using. Now we will open up the transaction. We'll read the same quantity from the ID equal to 1, where applying the delay for the 12 seconds so that the second transaction can do some DML operation onto the same record. And then we again call the same select statement for the ID equals to 1. Again, meaning like the same records, we are reading it twice just to see like the before values and the after values kind of thing. Okay, so in that case we want to do the commit after that. Ideally there is no need, but still since we opened the transaction, we need to close it with the commit. So that is what we will apply, and then we'll just run to it. We basically just need to copy the same context or the same statements basically, but not that way, like we will be using here as the update statement here, right? So what we will be writing in here to do that in the transaction 2 is transaction isolation level we'll be using here, which will be committed. We'll begin the transaction, then we'll declare the variable of quantity, which will be 0 in the default. Then we will read the quantity. What is the current quantity for the particular ID equals to 1, which will be 32 in this case. Then what we will do is we will hold that quantity, or we will subtract some quantity out of that 33. Say like 8 as a quantity we will subtract from the 33, then 25 needs to set into this variable, and that 25 we will be setting it up over here for this quantity field. And then the same quantity needs to be multiplied with the item price, correct? Because to get the amount value as per respectively. So we'll apply the update statement onto that, and then we will apply the commit transaction. And then finally we will just say select, so that we will come to know like what was the value which is updated. Okay, so let's just run both of them together to here, and then we'll run this entire one, right? So right away we found that the quantity has been updated from 33 to 25 now, and the amount has been reduced from some to the 1000 rupees now, because according to the quantity it has been reduced, right? Now we will go there to see what was the before values. When we executed within the same transaction only, we are finding two different numbers for the same statement. See, just the difference is the delay of the transaction, and in between this delay itself, the DML operation has been performed by the other transaction, and that has caused this issue. And because of that issue, it is called as non-repeatable read kind of an issue, right? So to resolve that, what do we need to do? Because here we are finding the different quantity. Earlier we found 33 as a quantity, and now we find 25. So we'll get surprised, right? How come this change and why this difference is, right? So to avoid or to fix that issue, we need to set the isolation label as repeatable read instead of keeping it committed, right? So we'll just change the isolation label over here. Before we do anything there, we need to reset the original transaction. So we'll set the quantity as 33 and the amount as 1320 for the same ID equals to 1. Right? So it's updated, and now we will again run the same statement, the same transaction. And then we'll again run the same transaction, and this time we will see here and there both the places. See, it has updated with 25, but what we have achieved over here is same quantity. See, that is the difference. That is the beauty of it. So it doesn't allow the other transaction to do any DML operation until this transaction is committed. That's the difference. What it does is it is completely it's committing this entire transaction successfully. Once it is committed or maybe rolled back, then only it goes to the DML statement of the transaction number 2 to execute it. That is why this DML command has ran successfully, and the prior one also has given the correct numbers to us, right? All right, so that's it for this session. I wanted to show you. Next session we will understand about the phantom read. Okay.